Hey everyone, and thanks for joining me for this episode of the 10-Minute Leader. My name is Ben Dewick, and I'm a leadership development trainer, coach, and facilitator, and I'm the founder of Canterra Leadership. And if you're watching this, you'll want to know that the goal is to have guests come in and share about leadership for 10 minutes or less. Not because there isn't more to talk about, because I know that there is lots to talk about, but to provide these bite-sized conversations and learn and hear from other leaders, because I am a big believer that especially during the times that we're going through, that leadership is going to be a key factor in how we make it through these times. And I'm here today with a guest named Kate Decker. Now, Kate, I'm so excited to have as a guest. She is the founder of the Institute of Athletic Movement. She holds 17 certifications and is an educator, speaker, life, strength, and speed coach, an ortho and sports MyoTherapist. And in the sports arena, Kate has experience working with 7 different, Kate, I apologize. I'm doing this intro terrible. You've worked with, thank you, Olympians from 7 different sports. You've worked with NFL players from 15 teams. You've worked with collegiate athletes from 30 universities. You've worked with the Philadelphia Eagles, Temple University, USATF, UNC, and CCU. Basically, in summary, Kate, you are a difference maker and an influencer, and you're a leader in your field and a leader to others around the world. Thanks so much for joining me, Kate. I'm so honored that you have joined me, and I apologize for that, messing up that intro.
That was perfect. And thank you so much, Ben, for having me. It's a pleasure and it's an honor to be here and to be asked. Very humbled by that. Thank you.
Well, it's like I said, my honor to have you on the show. And you know, I know we could probably talk for a long time, and anyone who's watching this would probably find lots of value. But let's just jump into the questions that I sent you and hear your thoughts on leadership, and be able to kind of dig a little bit deeper into that. Does it sound good?
Absolutely.
So, Kate, when you consider the concept of leadership, how do you define it?
Thanks for asking that question, Ben. I really believe strongly in looking to the leaders around you. I know that there have been so many in my life, and some of the qualities that they really exemplify are honesty and integrity, being the same person on the field and off the field, in the conference room and out in the community, in their homes. Right. Being a person of strong values, interested in truly lifting others up for the better good of themselves, right? For each individual, for the communities, for the team, for the group effort towards a common goal. There are so many out there, but I think that those are ones that I truly believe strongly that exemplify leadership.
Yeah, that's huge. I love that. I love what you said, especially, you know, being a leader of values that and those values are true wherever you are. So thank you for sharing that amazing answer. So for you, Kate, in your role, I mean, you've been a leader for in lots of different contexts. What kind of have you done to help be intentional in growing as a leader?
So as I mentioned, I look to the leaders around me. Mm-hmm. I definitely do not have all the answers, and I learn every single day. For example, just since the beginning of 2019, I have about 60 continuing education hours. So right. At least 60 hours. Wow. And that means that I am continuing to improve myself. And I also look to my husband because he has an incredible background. And we talk continuously about leadership development, of becoming better all around, of becoming better in the sports medicine and the sports performance industry. We also very strongly believe in reading. And so recent book, The Energy Bus by John Gordon, I read. I started picking up a number of the John Maxwell books that I had read previously and picked those back up. Joyce Myers is someone else who I admire and listen to and read some of her books. The Bible is another source. And I ask questions, probably sometimes too much, but you can't really ask enough questions, right? So of everyone around me. And that's how I try to improve. That's how I try to get better, so that anyone who's in my path, I can help them reach their goals.
Nice. Good answer again. So what about the hardest part? What's the hardest part for you of being a leader?
Okay. So being a coach, right? You want to see improvement. You want to help someone so much. And whether it's coaching, whether it's in business, it just gets to me. It gets to my heart when I see the potential, the God-given talents that someone has, and they're holding themselves back, whether it's fear, whether it's disbelief, whether it's someone who had told them that they can't at one point. I want to just help them bound forward and jump into whatever it is that they're trying to achieve. So that fine line of figuring out how to motivate someone to reach the next step, to get out of their own ways sometimes, to help develop themselves into, this amazing person that they can continue to strive to become. Because we're always working on getting better, right? We're always striving to be better humans or better business people or, better athletes or coaches.
Always steps to take, right?
Absolutely, always.
Yeah. So there's going to be lots of different people listening to this. What kind of advice would you give to those other leaders who are tuning in and hearing from the wisdom of Kate Decker?
God bless you. So I would again say, don't be afraid of asking questions. This is an awesome opportunity that we have nowadays, that we can reach out on social media. You can see people that you may never have had the opportunity to get to know or get to ask questions. Don't be afraid to try to connect with someone and ask them, you know what, I'm really impressed with these things, that you've accomplished. Do you have 5 minutes or 10 minutes that we could do a Zoom call or a phone call, or can I email you a couple questions? And sometimes you might not get a reply, but sometimes you will get a response, and that individual could make an enormous difference in you for the rest of your life. You never know. And if you're thinking right now of recreating yourself, those first steps can be sometimes kind of scary. And I've recreated myself a number of times. But stepping forward and taking that first step, whether it's a baby step or a huge leap, don't be afraid to have wisdom and discernment in doing it, but don't be afraid. The Bible mentions fear. I think it's about 365 times.
That's a lot of times.
Yeah, exactly. Once for every day of the year. So it kind of says something about how we feel, right? But it says, do not fear. Right? We have to be overcomers in life and strive to move forward. And education, like I said, don't be afraid to ask questions, educate yourself, be the best in your field, whatever that takes, still with honesty and integrity and having values.
That's fantastic.
Thanks.
So when you think of all the leaders that you've been around, and you talked about this a couple times already, kind of learning from leaders around you, who is one of those leaders that you really respect and admire, and why?
Okay, so this is a tough one, because I can name probably 20 to 40 people, right? So Coach Andy Reid, incredible NFL coach, one of the best in the history of the NFL, the head coach of the Chiefs, and I had the opportunity to get to know him while he was the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Rick Burkholder, who's the head athletic trainer for the Chiefs, and I had the opportunity to work with him with the Philadelphia Eagles. There's so many different athletes. There's Rob Panarillo, one of the founders of professional physical therapy in New York City. My husband, who, yeah, you might laugh, but seriously, Ben.
Yeah, no, it's totally good.
I literally learn from him every day, and his leadership ability and how he has helped people moving forward and achieving so much of their goals is incredible. So with that said, and so many more people and tons of athletes that I've worked with, I am going with my dad.
That's awesome.
And yeah, that was because he was awesome. So he spent 20 years in the military, another 20 years as a civilian, government-wise, but he was with the Army for 20 years and then as a civilian under the Navy. So that was pretty interesting for quite some time. And he was one of the most intelligent people. He was actually in Army intelligence, and he was one of the most intelligent people you could ever meet. But he would be the first one, if you mentioned something that he did not understand, he would be the first one to say, could you please explain that to me? So he was always learning and achieving and evolving. I also learned a great deal from him. At 80 years old, he went skydiving for the first time, and he could drop down and do 50 push-ups. So now you understand a little bit about my makeup from being in the sports industry and health and wellness and fitness. And he always said, if you have 15 minutes of time that you could be watching TV or something like that, you have time enough in your day to work out. And even in his 70s, 80s, he was doing that at least 4 times a week. And yeah, education, he was continuing to educate himself. He read, I can't even tell you how many books, but his house looked like a library. So, and he was always doing things for the community and for individuals to help lift them up. And a lot of those things were behind the scene. He didn't broadcast it. And some of those stories I never knew until he passed away.
Wow.
But that just tells me the leadership qualities.
Right.
He was always the same person behind closed doors as he was in his career.
Right. And that's a powerful legacy for you and others that knew him, that he's able to pass that along as well, right? So it's huge. So
Absolutely.
I always like to wrap up with a surprise question that is a little bit fun. So let's just say hypothetically that you had an opportunity to have all those leaders that you mentioned that you admire, you know, your dad, your husband, Andy Reid, all of them over for a meal. What food would you serve them all at the same time to celebrate leadership?
Okay. So I have had the opportunity, I'll tell you a story because I thought this was pretty hilarious. I have had the opportunity to cook, which I love to do, and have had many groups of football players and coaches and, you know, very hearty eaters over. And I make a little bit of everything. I try to throw things in that they don't realize are healthy. And they're like, oh, wow, this is great. And so one is black bean brownies that taste like regular brownies, and they're healthy, but they don't taste healthy. They taste like, wow, I should only have like one tiny little one. But they're full of carbohydrates and proteins and really good. I love to cook, and it makes me happy when people are eating and they're happy also.
Nice. Well, that's a fantastic answer. Appreciate that. And, you know, maybe you'll have to send me the recipe to those brownies so I can include it in the, you know, show notes for this episode.
Absolutely. And they are by Chocolate Covered Katie. She's on Instagram and has her website and everything, but she has some really incredible recipes that I've used.
Okay, maybe I'll have to tag her in the show notes as well, and then Yeah. So Kate, thanks so much for taking this time and sharing with me and with all of us who are watching. I really appreciate it. You shared some really good gems of wisdom. For anyone who's watching, if you want to find out more about Kate, you can find her on LinkedIn. You can go to the website for the Institute of Athletic Movement. I'll make sure the link for that is also available in the show notes and somewhere on the post if this is on LinkedIn. And Kate is a warm and kind person. If you reach out to her, I truly recommend you do so. If you have any questions about anything to do with anything she's talked about, reach out to her. She's great. So thanks for watching, everyone. Kate, thanks for joining me.
Thanks so much. It's been an honor and a pleasure.
And for everyone, bye for now. Tune in to the next episode as well.